So today we are going to start up with our 6th unit, which is PID controllers. Okay, now this is actually going to be the crux of all the things that we have studied earlier until the first 5 units. All the things that the concepts that you have learned earlier in the first 5 units are going to be required for understanding this particular PID controllers. Basically, there are two things. First is the study of PID controllers, which is kind of simpler one. And finally, we have to design PID controllers, which is more interesting part from engineering perspective, because that is what we as engineers are supposed to do. We are supposed to design controllers. We are not supposed to just study or work on controllers which are designed by someone else. Our job is to design controllers for given system, for given conditions, right? Excuse me. Okay, so for the designing of PID controllers, of course, we have to first know what the PID controllers is. So as the name stands for, PID is P for proportional, I for integral, and D for derivative. Okay, P proportional, I integral, D derivative. So these are basically three components of a PID controller. These are three components of a PID controller, which we may use in our system. Okay. Now, what proportional means, what integral means, and what derivative means, that we are going to see mathematically during the coming slides. But before that, you must again recall that this is the standard feedback system, which we have studied in the very first unit, right? This is the plant, means this is the actual process that we want to control. And at that time, we have talked about an example of a temperature control system, right? So in a closed loop control system like this one, what we do is we measure the output of the process. So whatever the process variable is, for example, when we talk about temperature control process, then the temperature is the output variable or the process variable. We measure that, and then we send it back towards the input side, right? And there is a summing junction here where we compare the measured output with the reference input. Remember, this is the reference input and this is the measured output. These are compared. You can look at the sign also. Reference is plus and this output is minus. So here basically we are going to get the error signal, right? And that error signal is given to a controller block. The controller block is here. The error signal is given to the controller block, and the controller, based on the value and direction of the error, makes certain manipulation, and those are given to the plant or to the process variable in form of, let's say, it can be an input to the heater. So heater will in turn change the temperature, right? This is how it is going to work. Okay, so once the output is generated by the PID controller, it is given to the plant, and in that because of that output, the process variable will get corrected, and that correction is again measured continuously through the output is measured continuously, and there will be a stage when this E will be 0. This is what is actually expected. We want the output to be equal to the input, right? Both of these should be equal. This is what is expected. Okay, we may not get it all the time. There may be certain deviations, what those deviations could be and how to overcome those deviations, these are what the things we have to study. These are the things we have already seen a lot of times, what are the different ways we have seen. But the ultimate aim of having this PID controller in between, actually this is not a part of the process. Note down, this is not, the controller is not part of the process. It is required, it is installed inside the path so that the output and the input are equal. We want the output to be equal to the input. For example, in the temperature control case, room temperature controlling case, we want the output to be set to a particular value. For example, 24 degrees centigrade, maybe the output I want. So I will measure the output continuously. If it is higher than 24 degrees centigrade, I will turn on the coolers. If it is lower than 24 degrees centigrade, I will turn on the heaters, right? So, or I can adjust the heat provided, heat inputted into the system. If the temperature is lower, I will add more heat. If the temperature is less, if the temperature is more than the required temperature, I will remove the heat or I will reduce the heat. And if the temperature is lower than required, I will add the heat, right? So to do that task, we need some kind of a controller, and PID is the most popular controller in the process industry, which is used for controlling various plants, various processes. Those are available, those are used in the industry. Okay, now this particular block diagram also you can say, or mathematical expression also you can say, it is actually a one in all diagram. You can look at that, and very important one. So you should ideally draw the diagram on paper or at least take the screenshot of it. See, this is our plant, okay, and this is the output of the plant, C of T, right? C of T, output of the plant, and R of T is the input, the reference input, right? R of T is the reference input. Means what? I want the value of C of T. C of T should be nearly, or if possible, equal to R of T. This is what I want. This is the ideal case that we want it. Okay. Ideally, we want the output of the plant to be equal to the input. Okay. However, we may not get it always the exact value. There may be some errors, and that errors we have seen as the errors are called as, if those can be transient errors or steady state errors. We have seen steady state errors, right? You remember that in second unit we talked about the steady state errors, right? So to get the value of output equal to input, what we can do is we take the feedback, means we measure the output, we give it towards the input, and in this summing junction we subtract, or we take the difference between the reference input and the feedback input, or the feedback out, or the output obtained from the feedback. The difference is taken, and that is the error signal that we get here, right? Now this error signal is given to the controller. I have shown you in the earlier diagram that the error signal is given to the PID controller block. Now what happens in the PID controller block is, basically there are three components, as I said: proportional, integral, and derivative. In the proportional controller, this is the proportional controller, okay? The output of the controller, what is the relationship? Can you see? What is the relationship between the output of the controller and input of the controller? Can anyone tell me? What is the relationship between output of the controller and input of the controller? there is a direct relationship, just multiplication by a constant, or a, yeah, just a multiplication by a constant kp, p indicating that this is a proportional constant. The output of the proportional constant, proportional controller is directly proportional to the input. Okay, input to the controller is error signal, so the output is kp multiplied by e of t. Okay, kp multiplied by e of t. So this is what, this is the output of the proportional controller. Okay, right? Quite simple, isn't it? And this is the most simplest of the controllers. Even for the implementation, how will you implement this controller? If I give you, if I ask you to implement this using simple electronic circuits, so how will you implement? Just a simple amplifier, right? Op amp also you can use simple amplifier where kp is the gain of that amplifier. That's it. E of t will be the input, kp into e of t will be the output, right? Simple electronic amplifier designed using any circuit components can also be used in this case. Okay, so as I said, this is the simplest form of the controller, kp into e of t, which is called the proportional controller. The second part is the I. I stands for integral. So now you can guess the idea. In the integral controller, the output, this is the output, right? This is the output of the controller. It is proportional to the integration of the error. See what we have done? This is the integral sign, right? You can see this is the integral sign. So it is the output of this controller is proportional to the integration of the error. Now, what is the what does it mean by integration? Do you know what is integration, right? On paper, yes. I will, if I give you an expression and to find out the integration of something, you will easily calculate the integration. But do you really know what integration is? Integration is actually this sign. Can someone tell me what is this sign indicate? Integration sign म्हणजे काय? कशाचं काय इंडिकेट करतं ते? Is it I for integral? Is it I? No, it is not I. It does not indicate I for integral. Actually, it indicates S. It indicates S for summation. Integration is actually continuous summation of the input to the input given to that particular integral. So what is this? E of t is nothing but the when we say integration of e of t, it means just keep on adding the values of e of t. Whatever values you get, you keep on adding those values. That is what integral stands for. Okay, that is what integral stands for. Okay, so integration means continuous summation. That's why this integration sign is there. It stands for S. Anyway, so in the integral controller, what we are doing, we are integrating the error. Now what this signifies, it means that instead of only the current value of the error, like E of t is the current value of the error, right? E of t is the current value of the error. So instead of only looking at the current value of the error, we are looking at the historical values of the error. Current as well as historical values. Integration of E of t means what? It is going to combine, it is going to sum up all the error values until the current time. whatever errors have happened until the current time, all those will be added together. Okay, and then the control action will be taken. Okay, so this is what is the integral action ki. Now ki is what? It is just a constant multiplier to give weight to the integral factor e of t dt. Okay, so basically in the integral controller or integral mode, error will be integrated and then it will be multiplied by some factor ki, right? In the proportional controller, there will be error and multiplied by some factor kp. And the last one, which is called the derivative factor, now you can clearly guess, it is nothing but the output of the derivative controller is proportional to the derivative of the error, means rate of change of error, right? Derivative of error means rate of change of error, correct? So here is the derivative of the error, det by dt. Error is the input, d by dt of et is the derivative of the error, and it gets multiplied by kd. Again, kd is a constant to give weight, to provide weight to the particular portion of derivative of the error. So what it will indicate, what it will add up, it will cope, it will try to cope up with the instantaneous changes. What does derivative stand for? For example, if this is the input, okay, what will be the derivative of this particular signal? Who can tell me? Yes. See, this is, if this is the input, what will be the derivative of this signal? If this is the input signal, this is the input signal here. Okay, so what will this is the input signal, so what will be the derivative? Anyone? Yes, just try at least. You may be wrong, but try it.
Sir, 0.
Okay, 0 is one answer. Let's see. All the time 0. Okay, this is one answer. Anyone else want to say? What would be the derivative? See, what is the rate of change of this input here? Actually, it is nothing but the slope here, and that slope is constant slope. So until here, since there is no change in the input, the output will also be 0. However, from this point onwards, what has happened? The rate of change of input has increased, and but it increased, but it is constant, right? It is increased, but it is constant. So it will be like this. It will be a horizontal line like this. Can you relate this with your standard test signals also? We have we seen this somewhere earlier? If you can recall, we have talked about this when we saw the standard test signals. Ramp input, its derivative is step input. If I take derivative of this again, what will I get? I will just get a impulse here, just an impulse. And if I try to integrate in the reverse direction, what I will get? Integrate means what I said, it is continuous summation of all the previous values. So if the value is 1, okay, and then 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So what will be the integration? It will be 1, then again still it will remain 1 all the time, because sum of all the previous elements of the input is 1. So what we will get? We get a signal like this. So integration of this signal is step. Integration of impulse is step. Derivative of step is impulse. Okay. So this is the idea behind whatever we have talked about earlier in those cases. Okay. Okay. Now what we have seen is we have three components. First is the derivative, first is the proportional component, then the integral component, and the last one is the derivative component, kd into de of t by dt. Okay, now when we have these three components, you can see if I change the values of kp, ki, and kd, what is going to happen? Derivative. Okay, what will happen if I increase the value of ki? It will add, if I increase the value of ki, it will add more weightage to the integral component or to the integration of error, right? If I increase derivative constant kd, it will add more value to the derivative component. If I increase kp, it will add more value to the proportional component, right? In this way, what we have is we can we can change the values of these three constants, kp, ki, and kd, so that we can have more or less proportion of proportional, integral, and derivative components in our final controller output, because the final controller output is simply addition of the three individual components, right? We are getting addition of the three individual components, right? That's what we are getting in the end. And the added components are going to the plant, which is the output of the controller is in this diagram denoted as CPID. Okay. So you got the idea behind the PID controller, proportional, integral, and derivative controller. Okay. So I will remove these markings now. Okay. So this is the equation that I have again written here. Okay. So we have the PID controller, we have the equation of the PID controller now, and you know how each of the component is going to behave, how each component is derived. That is the first thing. That proportional means simple proportionality constant is there. It is the output of the proportional controller is directly proportional to the error signal. In the case of integral controller, the output of the controller is proportional to the integration of error, and in the derivative component the output is proportional to the derivative of the error or rate of change of the error. Okay, so this is how the PID controller is designed. Okay. In Laplace domain, if you convert it, see, this is in the time domain, right? We were talking about E of t. So when we convert it into Laplace domain, this is the relationship that we get. Just E of t becomes E of s, that I have taken it on the left hand side already. So here it is only kp, here it is ki into 1 by s, it is here it is kd into s, And obviously we are assuming what? Assuming initial conditions to be 0. Okay, initial conditions to be equal to 0, that we have already made the assumption like always. Okay, so CPID is, now look at the adjustment here. What is done here? KP is considered or taken common from the from this equation, even though there is no KP here. Okay, and there are new terms introduced, TI and TD, where TI is equal to KP upon KI and TD is equal to KD upon KP. Okay, so you can also recall, you must remember these equations also again. Okay, so TI is equal to KP upon KI, TD is equal to KD upon KP, and the equation for CPID upon ES. By the way, what is this CPID upon ES? This is nothing but the transfer function of the PID controller, right? See, transfer function of the PID controller, CPID here and E of T here. So CPID is the output, E of T is the input. So if I take the ratio of Laplace transforms of this, I will get the transfer function of this particular block, which is the PID block, right? So that is what we have done here. This is the transfer function of PID block. So as see, look, what we have been talking about, as I said, in this discussion, we are going to need everything that we have studied earlier until the 5th unit, right? So this is the transfer function of the PID controller block, which is equal to KP into 1 plus 1 upon TIS plus 1 plus TDS, where TI is equal to KP upon KI and TD is equal to KD upon KP. Okay. So these are called integral time and derivative time. And KP, KI, KD are called integral, KP, KI, KD are called the corresponding constants. Means Ki is the integral constant, KD is the derivative constant. Now, what is designing of the controller? Now see, this is the PID controller transfer function, correct? This, or even sometimes you can refer this also, it doesn't really make a difference. These are the expressions for the PID controller transfer function, right? Now, when we say that I want to design a PID controller, the equation is now fixed. So what does it mean by designing? By designing, we must find out the values of these parameters, right? Because once we get the values of these parameters, then only we will say that the transfer function is now ready, or that we have, then only we can say that we have designed the system. Otherwise, how can we say that the system is designed, right? This is how we design our system, to find out KP, KI, KD, or KP, TI, TD. Okay, and the process of selecting these controller parameters, KP, TI, TD, to meet the given performance specifications is called, or is known as, controller tuning, the PID controller tuning. Okay, the process of selecting or calculating the controller parameter KP, KI, KD, KP, TI, TD, this process is called PID tuning. Okay. Now, what processes for PID tuning that we are going to study are proposed by Ziegler-Nichols. These are two scientists, Ziegler and Nichols. These two scientists have suggested rules for tuning of PID controllers experimentally. Remember, they have done a lot of empirical experiments and found out certain relationships which have to be followed, which can be used for using in the PID controller design, or for finding out the PID controller parameters. Okay. These rules are useful when the mathematical models of the plant are not known. Note down, if the plants are if the mathematical model of the plant is not known, means we don't have a transfer function model or any other type of model of the plant, then we can use these rules for designing of the controller. Okay, in that case we can use these rules for finding out the parameters. If the mathematical models are known, then obviously we can use that, right? If we can use it without models, then we can obviously use it with models. Okay, so what the idea behind this is to give a stable operation of the system. We want stable operation of the system. What does it mean by that? To obtain stable operation of the system, we have studied the stability. There should not be many transients. There should be minimum errors, and the other parameters, other time domain as well as frequency domain specifications should be within our requirements. Like how much should be the peak maximum overshoot, how much should be the delay time, how much should be the rise time, how much should be the steady state error, what should be the zeta, right? We have studied a lot of parameters for control systems, and when the system has to be designed, these specifications have to be given in the first place. We must know what are the specifications that are required for the designing of the system. For just take an example, if you are going to design a bike, okay, let's say you want to design a bike, can you just start with taking any engine and any tires and any carburetor or everything like that? No, we cannot do that, because we must know in the beginning whether we want a 10 HP bike or 20 HP bike or 5 HP bike or 30 HP bike, right? What are the specifications? I want two-wheeler or three-wheeler or four-wheeler. I want electric bike or mechanical bike, right? There are so many things which are called the specifications of the system that have to be known beforehand, so that we can design the system, and the design depends on those specifications. The design is done so that we meet those specifications. Okay, so the problem, of course, could be that when the resultant system is designed, it may exhibit large maximum overshoot in the step response, which is obviously unacceptable. In that case, there need to be a series of fine tunings until an acceptable result is obtained. Means what? The method given by Ziegler-Nichols is not a final foolproof method of design of getting the ultimate final output of the system. What it is going to give you is, it is going to give a good starting point, and then you will have to make certain smaller fine tuning adjustments. Okay, right? What it means is that it is going to give us a educated guess, a nice educated guess for the parameter values, and then we are going to use those for fine tuning. Okay, so what they did, actually they have proposed two methods which we are going to see, right? There are two methods, not just one. The first method is based on the transient response characteristic of a given plant. What does it mean by transient response characteristic? Yes, what is meant by transient response characteristic? You give the plant an input, right? You provide some input to the generally step input to a plant, and look at the response before reaching the steady state. That is called the transient response. And from that response, you can determine the parameters of the PID controller using there are two methods, as I said, first method and second method. Okay. Okay, so we will stop here now. If you have any questions, you can ask. You put your attendance in the chat box quickly. Everyone, put your attendance in the chat box. And if you have any questions, you can ask. Have you got the idea about the PID controller? Because this is really an important one. You will have to design some sort of PID controller whenever you go for a job. Anywhere when you will go, you will have to design a controller, and that will need the concept from the PID controller. If you say, I don't know PID controller, then it will be very difficult for you to design any other controller also. Okay, so we'll stop here and see you in our next lecture, I guess on Monday. Okay, so till then, bye bye.